Greetings. Shout out to my DHGs out there, hidden gems. This is going to be a message that I've been meaning to share. So I appreciate you guys. First off, I want to say thank you guys for all the new subscriptions. The channel is steadily growing. So I appreciate you guys for, rocking out and vibing as long as you feel divinely led to be here. So this channel essentially, I'm not going to make it just a one-dimensional thing by, just making it about readings and this and that. Like, if I feel guided to share a message, I will. Anything that I feel divinely guided to share with the collective of the divine feminine, the female collective, and young women that will encourage them, will inspire, will motivate, and propel them and guide them forward, as God works through me to get to you guys that need the messages, so be it. So let's get into the message here. I do have notes and everything, and I might still get messages as I'm even going into what I've already written down, so just bear with me. So I've been hearing the word cultivate and the word preparation or prepare for a couple of weeks now. I just keep hearing the word prepare and cultivate. So when you think about those two words, cultivate, it's a Latin root word for cult, which is to grow. Okay. Cultivate, by definition, a few definitions that I've looked into, is prepare to use and for crops or gardening. Keep that part in mind. One of the other definitions is to graze or to raise, grow, and maintain, improving, developing, to protect and encourage the growth of, to cause to grow by special attention or by studying, advancing, developing, practicing, or publicizing, to improve by labor, care, or study. Okay. The word preparation, by definition, says to make something ready for use or consideration, to make ready or to get ready. Make ready beforehand for some purpose, use, or activity. To put in a proper state of mind is prepared to listen. To work out the details of or plan in advance of preparing for a campaign or strategy to put together. I was drawn to the scripture here. When I looked at the word prepare, the scripture came up, and it was 2 Timothy 4:2, and it says, preach the word, be ready to do it whether it is convenient or inconvenient, to correct, confront, and encourage with patience and instructions. So keep that in mind as well. So the word cultivate, like I said, the Latin root word of that is cult, which means to grow. And by definition, if you look up cultivate, probably one of the first descriptions or definitions is to prepare and use land for crops and gardening. I was led to look at the stages of a plant's growth. Oftentimes when I talk about self-love and self-nurturing, I'll use the symbolism of, us being a plant or flower that needs the proper nurturing, the proper sunlight, the proper watering and environment to be in. So I was guided to look up the plant growth stages. The first stage is to sprout, right? In this stage, as the seeds get, their watering, they have the right temperature, they begin to germinate, which means they begin to take roots. So the seeds take in the water and they will eventually start to grow larger. Okay. The next process is seeding, which is where the roots begin to form out of the seed, and the roots begin to grow into larger leaves, or their leaves start to grow larger and develop. Okay. So think of yourself as the seed, right? the seed, or you yourself. Yes, you yourself are the seed, and you are to be watered and nurtured, properly taking care of yourself with the right temperature, meaning being placed in the right type of environment and climate. You have to be very discerning at this time where you're at, and in the past where you've been, where you've been placing your energy, your focus, where have you been spending most of your time, who have you been surrounding yourself with, so on and so forth. Because the more and more you nurture yourself the right way, you'll start to see the progression. You start to see the growth in yourself. That's the roots start to take place. You're producing something of positivity within yourself. You're planting your seeds in the right places, in the right areas of your life, and most importantly within yourself. Then you'll start to see the growth, the development of you. The next stage after seeding is the vegetative, hopefully I'm saying that right, process. So this represents the further growth of the leaves and the plants. The plant's growth is mostly focused on producing and strengthening the stems, the leaves, the branches, and the root system. This period requires extra attention of nutrients. Nitrogen is one of them. So nitrogen is a chemical element that is essentially used for the production of amino acids, proteins, and nucleic. It's been a minute since I went to biology. Please forgive me. Acids. So during this process, if you look at this from a personal standpoint within yourself, is your growth process where you're at. The further the growth of the leaves and the plant. So in this process right now, you're furthering your growth and your development. Your focus and your main intention is on the nutrients being healthy for you. At this time, you're more required to focus and put your energy towards things that are edifying you, surrounding yourself with people that edify you. You may be called to eat differently. You may be called to watch certain things or not watch certain things, or listen to certain things, or talk about certain things, or talk to certain people, or go certain places. There's a shift in that. You're more so focused on what is essential to your growth, you being nurtured, right? The next process is the budding process, which the plants enter their reproductive stage. So rather than trying to grow larger, the plants start to focus on the flowering process, then producing fruit, eventually then seeds. So around this time, some plants may need adjustment of environment or light. So as you're growing larger, rather than focusing on too much development to where, let's say, you overload yourself with trying to do different things and starting and initiating new things, there's a process where you have to take care of yourself, and then that's where the adjustment of your environment comes in. So you're naturally going to be led to not go into certain places anymore, surround yourself with certain people anymore. Like, this is where you may go into hermit mode. That's the understanding that I took from this, what Spirit was saying when I was writing these notes, typing these notes down. Then the next process is the flowering process. So this part of the cycle is where plants are pollinated and begins producing their own seeds. So your seeds, more things that you're planting and rooting, right? Plants rely on natural pollinators. So the pollinators are needed to spread pollen from one plant to another plant. So some pollinators are birds, bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, etc. So pollination within itself is the movement of pollen must occur for the plant to become fertilized. Okay. What it means to be fertilized, it means to make soil or land more fertile or productive by adding a suitable substance to it. So again, the pollination, it's the movement of pollen that must occur for the plant to become fertilized and produce fruits and seeds. And spreading of the seeds can also happen from being blown by the wind, being eaten by animals, or even sticking to another animal. So some plants are self-pollinating. When I heard that part, the pollination, of spreading pollen from one plant to another. This, I feel like, is two things. I feel like this represents fellowship with other people that are also helping to nurture you, that are also edifying you, helping you with your growth process, and vice versa as well. Or people, while you're being cultivated and while you're being prepared, you have people that may, share your gifts and your talents with other people, or speak positively about your name. Like I said, encouragement, being in fellowship and connection to people that are edifying you and helping you in your process of growing. So for some, like the message with this part, the pollination process, or the flowering process rather, it says some plants are self-pollinating. So this process, you don't always need, sometimes it's required, sometimes the divine, the most high, God, source, is your source of nurturing. It's your prime source, and sometimes that's the only source sometimes that you'll need at certain processes where you're being prepped and cultivated, right? Where you might be called to remove yourself from people just to avoid any distraction. Even if people mean you well, sometimes it's needed to have that separation. So some plants are self-pollinating. Another note, that means they don't need to have a pollinator to mature and to reproduce, right? So again, sometimes you're spiritually mature enough to where your source of nurturing and carrying on and further developing yourself and your seeds is through Source God and you. Okay? So cross-pollination makes stronger crops, but it isn't always a necessary process. When growing plants indoors, pollination is an added on responsibility. So rather than going through the process between pollinators and such, you can do this process within indoors. Again, indoors, you can take that as yourself, within thyself. Within thyself. It is a big responsibility because it's just you. But again, you can manage it, especially if it's just you and God. And last but not least is the ripening or the harvest process, which is the end of the growth cycle. So when going through all these stages and these processes, that is when your harvest, that is when this is your pop out, this is your butterfly phase, right? When you're no longer in the cocoon. Shout out to one of my fellow YouTube sisters, Tori from Guided Intuition. I'll never forget this message. She sent me a message a while back, and she was talking about how she was like studying or watching something about the butterfly, and how she was saying that she learned that the butterfly, while you're in the cocoon stage, the butterfly or the caterpillar or whatever it is in that stage, I forget, when it's in that phase, it eats away at itself to eliminate. So, naturally what clicked is like, yeah, this is a, when we're eliminating or discarding or purging what no longer serves us, what no longer fits, because as we grow, we can't take these things with us. So if you think about a child that is outgrowing a shoe, it starts to become uncomfortable. So naturally, you're going to have to step out of what is uncomfortable or what no longer fits you. Sometimes uncomfortability is you being pushed out of something, being called out of something. So that's another thing as well. But right now, what I'm getting is like, you can discern what stage you're at in your growth process. But again, remember that you're being prepared for something. You're being developed for something here. You're also being protected as well. So you may be in a place of hiding. When I mean hiding is that you're not hiding away from people and society, but Spirit is keeping you hidden to protect you from distractions and such, falling back into places where you've been called out of, because you're growing, okay? You're improving. So this is a period where Spirit is wanting you to pay extra and special attention and study and advancing and developing and practicing yourself, because there will be a point in time that I feel like for most of you where Spirit is going to put you out in the forefront in some instance. You can't hide anymore in the background, or you're not going to be able to. Maybe you tried to prematurely step out or try to do something public, or just put yourself, step out before your time, if that makes sense. So you're going through a process of labor and care of yourself, and studying and learning, because Spirit is preparing you for something, getting you ready for something. When I go back to that one scripture, 2 Timothy 4:2, some of you guys are being encouraged. It says, preach the word. So some of you guys may be encouraged to spread good news to others, to be the light, to be a speaker, to be a voice. Be a voice of light, to be a voice of love, to be a voice of the Most High God, right? So you must be ready to do it, whether or not it's convenient or inconvenient for you. You'll know when it's time. But sometimes we can delay our process by saying, oh, I don't feel like I'm ready, or oh, I don't feel like I'm good enough. But Spirit is calling you to the forefront when it's time, right? So you're there to correct, confront, and encourage with patience and instructions. That is very, very, very specific for some of you. You're being called to correct, confront, and encourage with patience and instruction. That sounds like a prophet to me. Prophets come in to correct, confront, and encourage with patience and instruction. We'll get a vision, or we'll get a message from God, and we'll relay it to whoever needs to hear it. It may not always be the most light and messages, but it will come with some, you correct or you'll confront, but you'll still have encourage. You'll still say, yeah, this may be happening in the world right now, but God is saying that this is what we're called to do, and there's still hope. There will be those things, and there will be instruction included, divine provision, aka maybe for some of you advice, right? Instruction on how to move forward for those of you that this resonates with. But Spirit is preparing you beforehand for a specific purpose or use or activity, whatever that may be. So Spirit is helping you to also, the other definition of prepare is to put in a proper state of mind and be prepared to listen. That is also very important as well. You have to be able to properly obtain information, guidance, and instructions. You have to be prepared to listen and be in the right state of mind, because Spirit is working in the details. So you got to pay attention to the details, plan in advance, because you're being prepared. So that means you're being prepared with strategy as well. Spirit's not just going to send you out without any type of strategy, instructions, guidance. So everything is working and coming together. So whomever this is for, if that resonates with you, this process, the cycle, no matter what process or cycle you were in, if you feel this, if you resonate with this process of preparation and cultivation, because that is the words that I kept hearing, and I feel like some of you may resonate with this. Some of you may resonate with this at a later time, but that is what I'm getting. Essentially, I've been trying to take a little bit of a break from overloading myself with too much, so I haven't really been posting, recording, or uploading. So I'm just trying to like pace myself a bit, get my personal reads out the way, in moderation and based off and according to where I'm at with myself. And also, just taking time out for myself as well, and trying to rest in between. So if you guys notice I haven't really been posting as much, that is why. But I do appreciate you guys being patient with me as always, and the love, the love and the encouragement, the kind words, and just sharing how these messages have been helping you and encouraging you. So much love to you guys. Be blessed, be safe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.